Hey, we're back again.
Hey guys, welcome
Two-person echo
back.
chamber podcast. I'm Mitch.
I'm John. How are you doing? What's going on? I'm
I
talking to you,
am
Mitch.
I am recording from, as of now, the next place I will be recording from here on out.
Very cool. I like it.
With I think it's a B-52. Do not
Yeah,
quote me
there's
on that. There's an airplane here on the wall.
big old painting of an airplane. What's the because your soon to be father-in-law is a pilot?
He's a recreational pilot.
Yes.
He does it as a hobby, not as a career.
That's cool. That's cool. Was he in the Marines?
No. Apparently, when they moved into this house,
Mm-hmm.
they saw this room, and the plane was already painted on from the previous owners.
Oh, cool.
And he was a big pilot guy, and his son ends up being a pilot, well, a recreational pilot as well.
Mm-hmm.
And so he was like, "Well, this is perfect. I guess we're getting this house,"
Mm-hmm.
because they saw this plane in the middle of this
Good. That's
ledge of
cool.
this wall.
It was like it
Yes.
was meant to be. It was meant to
Yes.
be. So what's going on, man? How you been?
Good. I've been
Yeah.
slowly recovering from this weekend. A
Yeah.
lot of good
This was a
times.
fun weekend. We had cigars.
We had some cigars.
We had some drinks.
We had some drinks,
We had some goodbyes.
and John took my money.
Yes, I did. I did. I did. The
Not
night
directly.
before.
You didn't directly take my money. I mean, you ended up winning the whole thing. I don't think
Mhm.
you yourself took as much money from me.
I took all your money. I don't know
Well,
what you're
you know
talking
what?
about.
I'm meaning like in the actual process of the game,
Hmm.
of our
Oh,
poker game.
oh.
I
Yeah.
feel like I didn't lose to you so much. I lost big hands to other people,
Hmm.
namely Void.
Ah, that void guy. Yeah, I get that. You know what's kind of cool about this weekend was like we were hanging out with all these people and like vaccinated all like I was the last one to go and I got my vaccination today about
Huzzah!
2 hours ago. I feel great.
Which one did you get, John?
I got Johnson E. Johnson.
The
Mm-hmm.
one dose.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I'm bad at time management.
You know what though? We as long as somebody gets to the finish line, that's where I'm
Mm-hmm.
at now with this
Yeah.
whole thing. I don't care
Yeah.
who you get it, where you get it,
Mm-hmm.
just go get it.
Yeah.
Right? Like
Yeah.
figure out in your schedule,
Yeah.
just go get it.
Figure it out. Do your best. Do your best.
Because I felt like this last weekend was nice because pretty much everybody that we were hanging out with either was one shot in, completely vaccinated,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
it was nice to be like, yeah, we all
Well, it's
we
the same
survived
people.
this.
It's the same people we kind of like quarantined with. It's been
Mm-hmm.
that same group, and I'm heading out, and so it was kind of nice to part on the high note of like everyone's being taken care of. You know,
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Yeah,
everyone's. Yeah,
we
you know,
survived it. We survived it, and we're still able to have social interaction.
yeah, yeah. I mean, we
So
were
that
we
was
did
nice.
we did what we needed to do. Yeah, but it
You
was
start.
good, and I won a lot of money in poker. And
So
some
are
of
you,
it I spent on your birthday gift.
that was hilarious when you told me that.
I
In
you
fact,
usually don't tell people how much money you spend on a birthday gift, but I had to tell you that I
I thought it was
used
really
your
it was
winnings.
humorous. In fact, hold on 1 second.
Uh-oh. Oh no. I have to talk to you guys alone now. I don't know what to say.
Even though this
Oh,
is a
he's back.
podcast, I will show our listeners and our viewers
What
here
is
on
it?
YouTube. It is
What is
a
it?
two-person echo chamber coffee mug that John got
Mm.
me for my birthday. It has our thumbnail, our decal,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and very thoughtful gift. I
I was
appreciate
very
it.
I was excited to that it worked out because I needed help doing it because I could not have done that by myself. Thank you, void this person's name too. Um,
You the
even
real
though
MVP. We see you. We
the
respect you.
real
I
MVP.
appreciate it.
Yeah,
So you
appreciate you.
ready to go to New York?
No, I'm not packed. Um, it's gonna be really hard to say goodbye to, my nephews and my family, and I'm gonna be very upset. You're being pulled in two different directions.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think this, especially since you moved out to New York, which was what, 4, 5, 6 years ago, something like
Five,
that. 5 years
I think
ago.
probably 6 years, including this year of me being
Mm-hmm.
back. It was 6 years ago.
I mean, this had to be. It's not close. The longest set time you were home.
Yeah, this is the longest
To
time I've
hang
been
with.
home since high school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, connections were formed.
Hmm.
Attachments were made, just in the sense
Hmm.
of this is the day to
Yeah.
day life, and you had to
Yeah.
quarantine as well. So
Yeah. Yeah. Stuck together.
it's gonna be good, and I think you'll. I can say from my personal experience, this was one of the few highlights of the
Yeah.
quarantine was you were home.
Yeah. There's, that's there were many highlights of this year for me, which is really kind of, it's special and lucky that I did have personally a fulfilling year, with the people that I love.
Mm-hmm.
That's not the case for everyone. It's not the case, you know?
It's true. It's
Yeah.
very true.
Yeah. But yeah, it's gonna be really hard.
It's gonna be
I'm
hard, but
actually I'm
it's
trying
gonna.
to like not fight back some stuff right now because those
you know,
boys,
yeah.
they
You
are
know what
amazing.
though? New York's gonna be great. The world's opening back up again, and the
Yeah.
world is your oyster.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
this podcast will take on a new meaning.
Mm.
This podcast will be now in 2 different time zones.
Hmm. What is that? What is the new meaning there?
Well,
Put
the
put
fact
some
that
metaphor to it. I dare you. And then we'll have the listeners vote on if it was successful. Email us.
please. All we get are emails from Podbean.
Yeah. Have there been have the French listeners continued to French listen?
That I don't know, but I will tell you this:
Mm.
we are now listened to in Norway.
Norway. Oh,
Yep.
okay. Um, thank you, Norway friends.
Yeah.
I think I might know them. I don't know. I don't know if this is if it's like how cool we are. I think I just might know 'em. Which is still cool because they're cool.
But that's
Uh,
cool. What? So for those of you in Norway who are listening to us, we appreciate you. We see you. You
yeah.
might be asleep right now,
Hmm.
but
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
see you. We appreciate you.
Yeah.
Thank you for
And
listening.
if it's who I think, I love you. And if it's who I don't think, I still probably love you.
So I
Yeah,
woke up
bud.
today. I woke
Yeah,
up
bud.
today
Hmm.
and I slept in so late that
Hmm.
I woke up very disoriented.
Why? Why'd you sleep in so late? Because you were recovering still?
I think it had to be.
Yeah.
I think the Friday night when we played poker, I still technically had to get up early the next day
Right.
and to do my thing, and so I feel like I didn't sleep a ton then, and then we were up till 4 in the morning
Hmm.
on Saturday into
Hmm.
Sunday, and then
Hmm.
I think I slept maybe 4.5 hours there on a couch.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
think my body was like, it's time.
Yeah. Luckily, the day off.
Yes, I did have the day
Yeah.
off today.
Yeah.
So that was much
I was
needed.
kind of feeling the same thing. I had to get up relatively early for, to get to the vaccine site,
Mm-hmm.
which was about an hour drive still.
Right.
And I woke up no big deal. I was really worried about it, but I woke up no big deal. But I think it was because I was like, there was such anticipation, and like I had such nerves about being late or whatever.
Sure.
There's no way that they would have like stopped me from like getting my vaccine though if I was late, because it was a massive site,
You show up around the time, but they still get to you like in order.
Well, the line
right?
itself, you know,
Yeah.
like who knows, you know, and they also
Mhm.
have like so much to give out that, you know what, I'm actually going to stop talking because I don't want to like give someone like a bad idea of like just show up whenever.
Yeah. No,
Yeah,
make an appointment.
yeah, make an appointment.
Make an appointment.
Yeah,
It's like a doctor's visit. Go make an appointment. Do your thing.
early is on time.
On time is late.
Yeah.
That's what we grew up on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, someone told us that.
It drives my fiance nuts
Why?
because I feel like that
Does she
message
think
was
on
getting
time is on
grain.
time?
No, it's that I inherently make myself anxious by to being late to things because
Uh-huh.
I'm so used to being early to things
Right,
that
right,
even
right.
if we're not late, and we're not, most of the time we're not late when we go to
Mm-hmm.
things together.
Yeah.
But I get stressed out when she's not ready when I'm ready.
And she's just sitting there going like, "It's gonna work out," and you
It's
are
not
like,
even
"You
that
need to get
she's
off my
sitting there.
case."
It's not even that she's sitting there. It's that she's also getting ready at her speed and what she needs to do. But that is
Right.
very different than what I need to do.
You know, that kind of reminds me of the Ambrose interview where they were, you know, they work together at home too, but it's like you see someone doing something that it doesn't look like it's work, you have to still realize like that they know what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
We're still learning lessons.
It's just the inherent trust, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
We all can get
Speaking of
better at
interviews
that.
though, we should talk about
Yes.
the one that's coming up.
Yes. Today we had Eric Geil.
We were in a show together a while ago and we had such an amazing time. And then, you know, he went on this he's an actor. So I'm going to kind of tell you like more about him while I'm telling the story.
Mm-hmm.
And he basically immediately I was moving to New York and I was thinking like I'm probably going to see this kid in New York.
Mm-hmm.
And then he basically immediately booked or like within the year booked the Book of Mormon national tour. And he's been doing that for years.
Yep.
Years. Um, it's kind of cool. It's an interesting thing, the Book of Mormon, because he's got a lot of stories about, you know, staying healthy, like
Mm-hmm.
to do that type of a show 8 times a week. I think 8 times a week in
Yeah.
7 days or
In
something
all
like
those
that.
different cities. I mean, he was
And yeah,
talking
while
about.
traveling.
Yeah, he talked about that there was a run right near the end of when he was
Yeah.
done with the tour where they did like 26 weeks straight, and
Yeah.
they traveled on their dark day, which was Monday,
Yeah.
and so
Well,
every Monday, their day off,
yeah.
they're traveling, which is
Yeah.
its
That's
own
crazy.
not
Yeah. But he
not
was also
racing.
kind of talking about and it's interesting to see what happens here is uh the show itself. I mean, it was immediately celebrated when it came out, right?
Mm-hmm.
um because of the South Parkness of the show,
Mm-hmm.
that it kind of turned a lot of things on its head.
On top of the music being,
It's fantastic. It's really funny and really fun and really good. But there is a bit of work that needs to be done on the show and like things that like were written about. Like half of the show is more like all the shows in Africa and half the cast members are Black people. And it's not written by Black people. There are some jokes at the expense of race, you know. Um, and he was there are not some jokes. It like there are depictions, you know, that are like South Park humor about it, but like really there's like some like racist undertones for sure. And he was kind of talking about the need to address some of those things. And it turns out in the news that there is a push for that as well, right? And there is some movement on addressing, at least in the production part of it,
mm-hmm.
producers and um, in that part of the creative field of it. It looks like they're moving on it, and I don't know. I maybe rewrites, maybe something. I think they're really analyzing right now how the show goes forward,
Yep.
which is an interesting conversation to kind of be a part of, is to see like how things can change, right? And the show, you can kind of grow from mistakes like that, right? It
Mm-hmm.
doesn't, the show can be inappropriate, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't have to stay that way, and it doesn't have to your mistake doesn't have to define you. It's actually like the correction of it. So I'd love to see, follow along in the news and see what the corrections will be, right? How do they solve this issue that is there and a part of it? Because I think
Yeah.
that the show does have a bit of worth aside from that,
Mm-hmm.
you know um
Oh, I agree.
right? So
Yeah.
it would, and
Yeah.
it would be better to respond proactively so that you
Mm-hmm.
don't like, so because why ignore an issue, right? And why um kind of sidestep an issue like that when it would be better for you, and it would be better for the people going to see the show, and it would be better for the people that the show is, like the performers who don't have a lot of say in production, but like they
Mm-hmm.
are musical theater performers, so right, so it's
Right.
not like it's a very competitive field, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's
Yeah.
hard to say no to certain things,
Absolutely.
especially when you don't have the power. It's a very, the power dynamic is very, very one-sided. So
It was very interesting because we did this interview before this news stories came out. So
mhm.
Eric was talking to
Yeah,
us about some of this stuff
yeah,
before, and then it worked out that, well, I shouldn't say worked out, but it turned out that these
hopefully it
what he
works
what
out.
he what yeah, hopefully it works out.
Yeah,
What he was talking about is now the talk, the
yeah,
conversation, and it's like you said, jobs are jobs like those
yeah,
are gold mines, and a
yeah.
guy like him who is in New York right now, and he's doing
Back
his
at it.
thing. He's
Back
back
at
at
it.
it. He's
Yeah.
trying to work it through it. And we actually start this interview without like an official welcome to the
Mm,
two-person echo chamber. We just kind of started talking, and John recorded, and
yeah.
some
We were
great
having
stuff.
some trouble with like the recording app,
Yep.
the audio app, and he was still like tossing out some sweet dimes. So I was just like, let's just see where it goes from.
Absolutely. All
Yeah.
right, guys. Well, here's our interview with Eric.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you think that like you're um wasting time being there, or do you think it's like that's where you want to be and you just have to hold out?
I think it's a good question because like I could go somewhere where maybe I wouldn't have to work to like live as much,
Mm-hmm.
and I could just try to spend time, I don't know, doing artist things or being creative. But then also like I don't really feel like this is a time for that. I don't know, at least for
Right.
me.
Yeah, there's like a little bit of a why do I deserve to like think about things in like this artistic way when there are like real consequences happening in the world in like in a bunch of like more like tactile ways, you're up there in the ethereal trying to like think of like some sort of light in your life or like changing the world's like emotional state, and meanwhile people are not feeling too great about themselves, right? Like, and there's much like worse things happening.
Yeah, I don't get to sing every day. Like, what, you know
Yeah,
what I mean? It's like, yeah, okay.
yeah, but you get to sing every day. It's just you get to like ruin it your time for your roommates or like the neighbors who really want quiet. You can still do it. It's just the audience isn't as receptive, maybe.
No, they're certainly not, unfortunately. And why would they be? I mean, what's going on? Like,
Yeah,
but then I don't know. It's such an interesting time.
meetings.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
which is the future, right? Everything but live performance, hopefully.
You're telling me what is all of this coming to at the end of the day? Like none of us can really know, can we?
Yeah, but there's definitely some lessons to be learned. I think, like, especially like in more of the private sector.
Yeah.
We have a couple of friends who've been working from home and like going once a week, and they're like, "Well, I feel like I'm maybe just as productive and way happier."
Mm.
So I don't know.
I mean, there's definitely something to be said about not really missing audition life so much.
Yeah, yeah,
It's like it's it's just a lot.
yeah. It's a lot, and we were actually talking about this with someone we were interviewing yesterday, and like I think it would be a lot. It'd feel like a lot less, if like the way that you audition, like I think when we get back to auditioning, people are going to be so happy to be in the same room with someone that like the whole audition feels better, you know?
Even if
I hope so.
Right? Because
Exactly.
we're not going to accept you. That's okay. It's just good to see you.
yeah,
person.
You're
it's
like,
good.
wow. Well, don't you think? Oh, see, I was thinking about this too. Like, I think I am going to be a completely different. I'm going to have a very different mindset going into the audition room instead of being like, okay, like you have a lot to do and I'm not going to take up your time, as much as like I can. I'm just going to go in and out. I'm going to show you what I got instead of just going in and being like, this is my time to be here.
Right. Why are you sorry for being at a place where they invited you and people to come and do that thing, right?
Yeah. Also, like they need you
Yeah.
at the end.
Yeah.
Like that's what we need to like, I think, take away as actors for a lot of this is like, they need us just as much as we need them.
Yeah.
And like there needs to be some level of balance in all of that with the industry because I don't really feel like there is.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, like if the writer and director could do what an actor does, then there would be no act, like they'd save so much money. Why would they do it, right?
Yeah.
And in certain cases they do, but even then, they're one or two people, writing a show, they're writing Barry and they need other actors too, because yeah.
It's interesting, especially with like the live theater stuff, but yeah, we have a lot of good stuff to talk about. It's been a very interesting year for the entertainment industry, hasn't it? Even
Mm-hmm.
with nothing going on,
Yeah.
like there's a lot of issues that just have to be changed and discussed and talked about.
Yeah. Well, we're pretty dramatic people, so we'll let it be known.
We'll let it be known.
Yeah.
You'll let it all be known.
Whether it's changed or not, like it's gonna be heard
strange.
about. Yeah. There's gonna be like 10 more writer strikes, I feel like. Just because
I wouldn't be surprised.
There's always a writer strike. It's always the writers.
Yeah.
It's I see. I don't know. I mean, yeah, it should be a lot of things.
Yeah.
It should be a lot of things because like we didn't even have any people of color working on Book of Mormon in a creative way.
Okay.
Like stuff like that. Like why is there no representation in creative or casting or all of these other places?
Right.
When like the industry is full of stories about people of diverse cultures and skin colors.
Well, Book of Mormon, right, is
show's about that.
Yeah.
And like they do a good job with it because like at the end of the day they're making fun of like the Mormons and all that, but like the African side of the story is like the most crucial like part of the whole story, and there's no representation. And even just like as being a group of Black actors, like wouldn't you feel like respected and represented with at least one or two people on staff who can like communicate to you in a better way? I don't know. It's just like it's a lot that it's half the show and all of the creatives are white. Like that kind of stuff is just never gonna fly ever again.
Right. And I mean, like I bet initially, in thinking of like creating the Book of Mormon, right, like it wasn't even a thought that they would need that, right? And then the show, how old is this show? Like 8 years now?
I think it was like 2012, 2011.
Yeah, so it's about Yeah.
Nailed it.
Yeah.
I'm
But
trying to think.
like, and then you get into like this like standard, this repetition of, you know, repeating not having a voice for like different groups of people besides white dudes, and you know, all of a sudden then it's really not okay. It should never have been okay, right? But like then
Yeah.
if you're not self-reflecting that whole time, then like you can definitely become part of the problem pretty easily.
If you just think that it's not a problem because it doesn't affect you, then it's very, you know, easy to let these problems like continue to stay problems.
Yeah,
You
for
know.
sure. For sure.
Years or so. I was gonna say I think we've technically have maybe met before. I came and saw Les Mis with you guys.
Oh, okay,
in
amazing.
Bloomington.
Yeah, yeah.
That
Did
was
you come
wonderful.
to like KOK with us, or was there anything like that? Did we like go and run
We went to
around
a
after?
bar, but I'm actually curious if you were there. I know because I think I went the same night as his folks did. So
Oh,
I think we might have done something a little bit different.
it might have been its own thing, huh?
Yeah, but
That's chill. That's chill.
but I've been to Bloomington a couple times. It's a nice town, and
Oh yeah,
obviously was
Bloomington.
that I've seen Les Mis multiple times, but I do remember you guys and the whole ABC Cafe boys were definitely the best part of that show.
We were having a good time. We were having a very good time with all that. Honestly,
I did have that was maybe that was such a good way to like kind of, for me, take a step back from like musical theater. Like it was such a sweet win and such like a sweet experience that I was just like, and that's kind of how, you know, I think we can like at least for a while set that down, because that was such a like it was just such a beautiful experience all the way around, you know.
it was. It was just like all of it was great. The group was great.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the directors were great. The set was great. Like everybody, I think as anything with the show, you want to have a good group
Yeah.
experience, and I think we had that. Like our whole group was like really got along really well.
There was only one issue I had, and it was that empty chairs, empty tables was too fast.
Oh, did they push
he's
you
got
on
a
that?
huge issue with like my performance only.
No,
you know?
not your performance.
It's honestly so rude.
You were
it's
not
so
helped
rude
by it being
unreal.
too fast. It was too fast. I wanted you to do it your way. You
Fair
did
enough.
fine. It wasn't you.
It's too late, Mitch. It's
too
too late.
fast.
It's too late. You can't. Oh yeah, officially introducing here. Hey, welcome to the interview portion of Two Person Echo Chamber. Thank you, Two Person Echo Chamber. I'm starting to remember the title of our podcast now, so you know we're getting pretty good at this. Today we have a musical theater stud, friend of John, new friend of Mitch, Eric Geil. He was oh hey, he was he was in the national tour of Book of Mormon. What other credits do you have?
I've done 3 shows at Starlight in Kansas City, big outdoor theater. So I did my first show there was Sound of Music, and then I did Grease there a few years later, and then I did Hairspray the next year there. And then when the pandemic started, they were trying to figure out what they were going to do with their summer season because they had picked Godspell. And so they were going to try and do Godspell. I had auditioned for that. You know, they cast me as Jesus in that, which would have been fun. But most people felt like it was pretty, like, not the right time to try to...
Sure. Yeah.
Something like that together, you know. So...
That's so interesting because, not to say that Starlight didn't do the right thing, but I was reading about the only equity show on stage during the pandemic so far has been a Godspell. And there was like kind of like I think it was the New York Times podcasted like a little like talk about like what they were going through, what the show ended up looking like. And they said it was good enough for, you know, the time that they're in, but like you could see that it wasn't exactly, you know, the exact same experience.
I was just thinking, like, how would we pull it off as far as interacting with each other, because Godspell is all about cultivating like community and love and acceptance, and like a huge way that you break people's barriers to accepting those things is through physical touch.
Yeah.
And like that's a lot of what Jesus does in the Bible. Like he lays hands on people, he hugs people, he touches people. And so how are you gonna I just didn't know how they're gonna like pull that off.
Yeah,
Maybe
no,
they would,
absolutely.
like,
And
put us all in a tent, or like just we'd all stay in the same room together, we can never leave. Like I didn't know how it was gonna look. And then
so what you're saying right now is a lot of what they did, except they did not touch each other. And I think that was like one of the biggest like
weird.
Well,
like,
parts
of
it
the
came
show.
up on
Yeah.
it was like its 50th anniversary or something recently, right? Godspell.
Oh,
Did I read that? I think it came up on like its 50th
That makes sense.
anniversary.
Yeah.
And they just did. I just saw that. I don't know when it came out, but they did like a virtual something with it where it was basically like Steven Schwartz was there and he was playing some stuff, but then it had like different people and it was like different concert performances of all the songs.
Oh, that's nice.
And it was fun, but it's definitely like like Eric was saying, it's definitely like it's not quite the same as experience of
It loses
Godspell.
its luster. Yeah,
Right,
absolutely.
100%.
Especially like what you were saying about love and it being a very touch oriented like emotion, right? Is that how you experience love? Are you like kind of like tactile? Are you like cuddly, or like are you more like actions, or are you a present giver?
I'd say so. My love language that I like to give and get is quality time. So I feel like the presence of company is always like I feel the most loved, and I feel like that's the most like love that I can give, is just be in someone's presence. And then probably after that, like physical touch gets in there a little bit, because I feel like it's actually scientifically healthy for you to have like 5 hugs a day that are at least like 5 to 10 seconds long. Like scientifically, like there are benefits to having that kind of like physical connection with somebody.
I believe it for sure. Yeah.
Acts of service, I'm I'm cool with all of them, right? But like for me, it's like quality time and physical touch seem to be like I think the most impactful for me. But hey, listen, do you want to like do something for me? That's cool.
Yeah, right. It's never a no. Oh, you got me an iPad? Well, I don't know if that means you love me, but I'm happy about it. That's I was just thinking about Eric, you and I were in Les Miserables together as Marius and Enjolras. And one of our notes were because we kept on like grabbing each other's shoulders and like being like friends, and one of the notes was, look, Marius and Enjolras aren't in love. They just like have love for each other. And we were like, I guess we gotta touch less.
He's never seen him ooh and ah, so
it's true.
There you go.
It's true. But yeah, we had to show our love and respect for each other in a different way,
and more
from a distance. And I gotta be honest, the first couple times after, I was like, gotta grab him, and I'm like, wait, no.
You do fall in love with another woman, right?
But that's only after Andras really dies.
You're part of a different love triangle there.
Yeah.
It's a square. It's a square.
There you go. Just ram him in.
When I did the show in college, the guys were talking a lot about how like the guy playing Andras there was saying how like there was a plot theory that Andras like was in love with Marius. And so that's how he would play it.
I mean, I would be interested in seeing that performance, like, and see how that serves the rest of the story.
To like really give it, and then like Grantaire is actually like also Andras's lover and is like jealous of Marius. Could also like take it that way.
I wonder like the benefits or the lack thereof of like taking something that's not entirely on the page and going like, well, I'm just gonna like do this shit, because I mean, if it doesn't get in the way entirely, like it can, I guess there's like there could be reasons to like make a secret about yourself, right? Or
I mean, at the end of the day, like nobody can control the way you are doing something on
yeah.
stage unless like unless at the like the director watches it and is like, I don't know what's going on, but that's not
Mm-hmm.
what I think should happen. If that happens, obviously then you gotta respect the job and know that your job
Sure.
is to serve the director's vision. But if it
Like if you're Anjaras and you walk out with like a limp for no reason, it's like, he's got to climb the battlefield. You can't really do that right now. He's just weather worn. Oh my god!
that
But
might be a little too much.
but you did the Starlight Sound and Music directly after we did Les Mis together, right?
Yes. So I did that. I think it was literally 2 or 3 weeks after we closed. I was doing that.
Yeah.
So that was before my senior year of college, and then I did my senior year of college. I had a week off for spring break, and then I had my last week of school because they were letting us get off school early. So on that week that I had off, I came to New York because Book of Mormon was auditioning, and they had asked to see a number of people from my class. So I went in and did the cattle call, and I made it through 2 days worth of callbacks and cuts, and then I did this like tap camp where I learned all of Turn It Off and kind of like worked with the associate choreographers and that. Go back to school, finish my last week of school, go to New York. I moved to New York on a Saturday. I have another audition on Monday for Book of Mormon, and then on Tuesday I have my last audition for Book of Mormon, and then I go and do two of my senior showcases, and then I found out 5 days later that I booked the tour.
It's so funny that like I have this feeling, and there's no proof to it at all, but like it always seems like the biggest moments happen when there's like so much more things in flux in your life. Like you're moving to New York, you're finishing school, you're doing showcases for something completely different, and then all of a sudden like the thing that you really want kind of manifests itself for you. Because maybe is it like because you're so busy that you can't even like ruin something for yourself, you know what I mean? Like, or what type of auditioner are you? Like, is that something that you have an issue with like being in your head? Or
I mean, I think there's something very like profound to what you just said. Too busy to be worried about it.
yeah.
And I think that, I mean, looking back on it, I was doing out, and
It's a
you know,
huge moment for you in a lot of
it
ways,
was.
right?
Yeah.
Because
but
even if
also-
that doesn't happen and you do your showcase and then you get an agent, like what, or what the right casting director sees you. It's all everything is really high stakes. Yeah.
What I appreciated about my program was constantly having projects to do and things to memorize and things to work on. So I was very malleable to that moment, as far as like, oh, I have to like use my energy here, then I have to go over here and do this. Like that was the life that I had kind of was used to living for the last 4 years. And so to like come into that moment in the city I was ready for it.
Yeah. And you went to CCM.
Yes.
Yes. That's in
Cincinnati.
World-renowned musical theater school.
It is.
Yes.
Yeah, it is.
And music school.
Yeah, it's an old music school. It's the first musical theater program.
Oh, really?
We've had some amazing grads come out of there, Tony-winning grads, musical artists, and just some like really, really incredible people. Some of the best people I've ever met are people that I met, at CCM or had gone to school with there.
Yeah. And you're well on your way to making that list of honorary grads.
Let's go.
Right. I mean, well, you got this huge, and to be clear about what we're talking about, is that the Book of Mormon, especially at the time that you were auditioning, was
ginormous.
Not to the extent of Hamilton, because I don't know if we've ever seen that, right? But it was the show. It was having multiple tours. It was the biggest thing, and it was honestly, I think, I think having I had a huge effect on the rest of musical theater in the way that it presented comedy, right?
Yeah.
It was huge. It was that this opportunity, and especially at that moment, you know, with I would say, I don't have any numbers directly in front of me, but a bunch of white dude dancers, right, in musical theater. Just like a high percentage of them are, are able to do parts of the Book of Mormon stuff, which means that your skill had to be like, you had to be like really on your game, because every single person wanted this show at this time. Every single person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's yeah, it's like, of course everybody wants like the clout to be associated with a name like that, but then there's also, there's not a lot of shows in the industry out there with the opportunity for stability like Book of Mormon offered. I did the show for 4 years. I mean, how many even jobs that aren't in theater last 4 years? So
Yeah, seriously.
the ability to just stay and to like do it and to know that it wasn't going to go anywhere, and I had the opportunity to like travel the country for that whole amount of time and just continue doing the show and continue performing. It's like, pretty at the time it was very, very uniquely like singular in its success and like acclaim. And
did you get an apartment in New York and then have the tour, or like did you move to New York on someone's? You got an apartment in New York? That's pretty funny. How long were you there for? How long were you like in that apartment?
3 weeks.
3 weeks, and you signed a year lease.
Yeah.
Still worth it, right?
Yeah, I mean,
luckily I had good friends to take the spot. I didn't have to like cover any. But then, I think about like the whole broker fee and like all the extra fees that go through signing a year lease, and I was like, oh,
are you kidding? Yeah, but the tour life pays for itself, right? Because there's really no expense.
Well, yeah, I mean, it depends on the kind of tour you get. We were lucky to be on like the best kind of tour you could ever be on as far as that goes. Because we get, we get a style, because we have to cover all our expenses except for travel. So like we're paying for our living situations and food and like all that, but like we get paid to travel. So we get paid to do the show and we get paid to travel.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where were you guys like ending up staying? How would you figure out like the?
So they would give us options as far as hotels. So big part of the company manager's job is to find hotel options for people to live that are generally close to the theater. If they're not close to the theater and our only option is to find housing that's kind of far, then they have to provide cars for us.
More transportation.
Yeah. So they try to find places that are within like a mile or a half a mile so we can just walk. And then that way we don't have to get cars. And so then they give pricing options. They give us options to like bunk up with people to save a little money, stuff like that. You can always opt out of living in company housing if you find an Airbnb or something like that, So there's always the option to not live in a hotel, but that is also kind of challenging in its own way as well. Just depending on like what's available and how close it is,
and how close you are with. Go ahead, Mitch, please.
I was going to say, did you get, I mean, with all these different stops, and obviously, they would prefer you to be a certain distance away from the theater, but do you get any opportunity to at least explore these different stops along the way?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. The only things that would really get in the way of that are if we're putting new people into the show and we got to rehearse a lot. Other than that, the whole day you get to yourself. I found myself, before anything else, I just would do what I had to do in the day to keep myself in shape for the show.
Right.
So a lot of my day was like really dedicated to making sure I got enough time at the gym and that I had enough time to make, you know, good, healthy food for myself, that I had time to eat it, you know, and then like time to be able to rest up and stuff.
Right.
But you know, sometimes like I did a lot of hiking, and hiking is a fantastic activity to do before a show. You know, especially if you're going up and down a hill, like you just like it's like the perfect movement for that. So I always felt like if I had days that I was hiking, I could like do that, and then I would still be okay to do the show later because like at the end of the day, like I am not a natural born dancer. I've learned how to dance. I can do it. But like you know, you guys have both seen the show?
Yes.
Yeah. So like the level of cardio that you have to do while belting like A's and B's
Yeah.
is like incredibly demanding. And so I just wanted to spend my days knowing that I was setting myself up for success because in the show, because once the show starts to get like a little hard, it's really hard to bounce back from that in a week. You know, like if I'm already feeling a little drained by Wednesday or Thursday of the week, the weekend is going to be tough, you know. So
And
how do you
no,
go ahead, Mitch.
Did you keep the same like 8 shows a week like on Broadway, or is it a little bit different?
Yeah, same schedule as Broadway.
Wow.
How do you consciously make those decisions though? Like during that that schedule, like what do you do, like not just to be healthy, but like to be conscious about healthiness?
Well, healthiness is absolutely something that changed while I was on the road, because I booked the show when I was 23 and I left the show when I was 27.
Wow.
So
you're a different person.
Exactly. The way I can stay healthy at 23 is very different than how I can stay healthy at 27. So like for the first year, I could like go out and drink 3 nights a week and then be fine to do the show on the weekends, or like maybe not get as much sleep as I needed, stuff like that. But yeah, once 24 close to 25 came into play, that just wasn't really as much of an option anymore. I mean, it still happened, it just wasn't a weekly thing. It was like maybe a monthly thing,
right,
where I would go out like maybe a couple times a month and like go for it and have a good time. And
right,
but yeah, it was it's a very, I mean, if you want to like kill it, you know, you gotta like respect and just put in the time doing the things you need to do to succeed, and just not take it for granted, because it's easy to take it for granted and then like kind of lose.
Well, do you think that like knowing what you were saying, like what it takes to succeed, like did CCM teach you like not just the skill set but also the lifestyle, or
Absolutely.
or did you see that by like following like other people that were already on, that had, you know, maybe been in the game for longer on tour, because you know you were so fresh, like you were so fresh from it, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah, I was like just still dripping from the birth canal, you know, like
Yeah.
for real, absolute, like literally
Gross.
literally not a month out of college, and I'm like fucking there doing the thing. Oh, also, I'm sorry.
What is that?
I just swore.
Oh, please.
All right, cool.
No, we don't fucking care about that.
Okay, cool.
If this ever gets to the point where we have to put this like, I mean, we're gonna try to put it on platforms, but we'll just throw the E on it and say whatever.
Okay, all right, cool. Fuck yeah. Wait. Oh yes. So okay, I will say. I would say it's both. I think in some ways I was actually like coming into the show, I was probably one of the better employees. As far as like the way that my perspective of the show was, like I was new, so it was like all rose-colored glasses, and anything you do with rose-colored glasses is going to be all out, you know. And so I didn't have like a lot of the people that were in the show when I joined had been there for years, like 3 years or whatever. And it's really you've experienced, so like over 3 years of time, there's so much that happens that you then associate with like that show. It's like a relationship, right? Like a romantic relationship. You might start off in like the first period of it is like all good things, and then things start to happen, and you start to see these sides of a person, and all these things come out, and then you're just like, oh, okay, like I still like see all of those reasons why I felt that way about you in the beginning, but now I've like learned a little more, and so it's not as rose colored, and like the kind of like real side of like what you're doing comes out, and it's just like I think a lot of people were really ready to go when I got there, and so that was a tough environment to be in as far as like cultivating a inspiring workspace.
Right, for you to be excited.
Right.
Surrounded by people who are not excited at that moment.
Right. But I do also think there's a lot of value in their perspectives, because the industry is very business oriented, and there's also like interpersonally a lot of things that happen in a tour. So that I just wasn't ready.
It has to be like, a personal emotional experience traveling, living with people, right? Like,
like
it's not just going in at 9 a.m., and coming back at 5.
Yeah.
But,
yeah. So yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that
Yeah,
does make
absolutely.
sense. Yeah,
Okay.
I was gonna say, do you think like you mentioned how like the cloud of the show and the fact that you were so fresh, was that stuff that really drove you to get inspired to do the same thing every night for 4 years?
Yeah. Totally. There is something about going into a room with 2,000, 2,500 people every single day, and just hearing the response to the script and the music, and doing it, and like feeling the energy with your cast, and all of that is just like, I mean, like that does not get old. It really doesn't. It becomes difficult to do. Like, just the act of it is very draining, especially when at some point it does lose like that new adrenaline rush type feel that you get with performing, and it becomes like, oh, I just, my body just has to do this. Like I have, like, this is my job, and
that's what proves who's like a professional and not, right? Like when that energy is gone, when the feeling maybe isn't there, but you have to do it.
Yeah. Yes.
And especially with all these other things going on, like just taking days to just travel, right? Having a new family of people that, are like your coworkers and almost strangers, but still yet your family, and maybe roommates in certain situations, right? Like we were talking to this production company, and they're married, but like they decided to do the production company, right?
Right.
So they have the emotional and professional experience like put together, but they really consciously decided to do that. You don't know what you're walking into, with all these people. Were there people in that like you had to just like stay like for your emotional health and to be better professionally? Like how do you navigate like a bad emotional relationship that like is also not going anywhere professionally?
Oh, wow. A lot of people handle it very differently. I handled it differently for a few number of people that happened with, where it was just clear that like we weren't going to get along, and we weren't going to be friends, but we had to like see each other every day.
Yeah.
I think at the end of the day, it's just about learning to find what you respect about somebody. And just because you don't like somebody doesn't mean you can't respect them. And so I think it helped me to find things that I just respected about them, and just always go back to that, because a lot of people would show you just every day like some bullshit, and like, or like do something, and and then you just have to go, okay, but like they're da da da, and then you just
that's such an emotionally healthy way of going, like for going, you know, I gotta say, like, I don't know if I like have the judgment to like, because like judgment, like the emotion happens, right?
Yeah.
But like what really makes like a healthy adult, like a human, like a really healthy human, is like having the judgment on top of that on how to manage like a very strong emotion, about how to show the strong emotion in a healthy way. Like I'm not even sure that I'm there yet, like with someone who I absolutely dislike, just being like, well, I respect them for this. No, I don't know if I have the wherewithal.
I wasn't always good at it.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that. Yeah.
Oh, you failed, you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like,
That's
that
good to
was
know.
always like that was my goal, and that was what I knew was the best thing to do, and I definitely did it a lot, but
Yeah.
I had to learn how to do that because yeah, I failed at doing that good number of times.
Sure.
But like, yeah, it's like what
By year 4, you were a pro.
by what? Oh yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, like when I first, yeah, because there, I would find that one thing that would irritate me, or somebody would do something that I'd be like, oh, I don't respect that you do that, and so then I'd be like, I don't respect you at all. And
It's easy to fixate on some small.
Yeah.
it's easy to take this one thing or these
Yeah.
couple things that someone does and completely make everything that they are those things, because
Right.
that's what's affecting you the most. That's
In
what's
your
getting
brain, that's
happening.
the identifier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like, man, I'm telling you, if you can go in and just find like one or two things that are also like gonna always be things that you can respect about them, and just end up in that place. It's all about like ending up in a place with because at the end of the day, like, you don't know how long you're going to be stuck with them for, and you're traveling with them, you're doing the show with them every day, you're probably sitting by them in your dressing room. It's
Yeah.
and it's exactly like you said, it's not my choice who I'm around, because it's whoever gets in the show.
Right. Right. Man.
So you got to just like be able to take that, because like if you're doing a show here in New York, who gives a fuck? Like, you go do your show, come back home, like you have your own life. Like, it's truly like a work separated relationship.
You're not on a bus or a plane for hours. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I was gonna ask, like, when going from city to city, was it like a production wide, like you had pretty much the same travel schedule?
It depended on what city we were in, as far as like length of time we were gonna be there.
Sure.
But traveling always happened Sunday nights through Mondays for the crew. Anytime we traveled, it was on a Monday, and we would get there Tuesday, or we would travel there Monday, and then we would perform on Tuesday. So when I left, we did a stretch of 26 1-weekers where we traveled every Monday for 26 weeks.
Which is your technical day off.
Right.
Ooh. Yikes.
That is.
Yeah. How do you keep like joy in that situation where it's just like there is no, for like how many 1-weekers did you say you had?
26.
That's 26 days of no days off, right? That's 26 weeks of no days off.
Yeah.
Then the health really comes into play, right? Like then that's wow.
The health is because also think, and if, as we've learned from like coronavirus this year, like the tour family is just a cesspool of germs, like
yeah,
at that point. So when one person gets sick, I will say that there
name names, please.
I would say with one particular stage manager that I worked with was incredibly she was kind of a bully when it came to people taking sick days, which then like created this environment in the cast of like, oh, you shouldn't call out if you're sick, because then you're going to get in trouble, which we can't technically get in trouble for.
Right.
But
that's one of the weirdest things in like, not just in in theater, but like in theater, there's for sure, because there is only a certain amount of understudies or, you know,
Right.
alternates. But the idea that we're in such a predicament that like someone who's actually sick needs to be scared of calling in sick is insane. It's insane.
It does not create a healthy work environment.
Mm-hmm.
It
And
mentally and physically.
And what you're really doing there, if you do go in, is just like making more sick days for a lot more people around you soon, right?
Yep.
Ugh, yikes.
So I will say that was a struggle, because I feel like if everyone in the show, like when they started even coming down with a little something, it was cool for them to just like take the day. If there was an environment of like, hey, we're here, like this is a hard job, and like but you know, then there enters in the world of like mutual respect, which I think like a lot of that particular stage manager did not see a lot of value in what we were doing on stage. As far as like just kind of like took the magic of it all for granted. And
that's really a shame. I mean, even if you don't like the show, right? Like even if it's like Book of Mormon isn't for me, just knowing the the benefits of someone else seeing a live theater show, right? Like I don't really understand, and I worry about the society that we're in right now, that like live theater is always a little bit like gonna die, because I think that, and I also this is gonna be me going on a really weird tangent, but I think if live theater wasn't always presented as Wicked and things like Wicked, not that I don't like Wicked, but like it's the only thing that's like, you know, like we're marketing in like this Disney musical, you're cutting yourself off from like all the people who are like, well, maybe I'd like live theater, but like I just don't care about like a Disney, you know, like I don't want a young adult, or not even young adult, like a child show, right? Like,
oh yeah.
But I think that the magic of like being in that room would be much more appreciated if we were maybe more open to what we thought was worth investing time and money in. So
you know, there has to be a certain number of movie musicals on Broadway every year.
Of course. And now there's like the show about the person's one night in Vegas, or you know, like the musical performer, which like also cool, you know, but like we're getting into a pattern here, aren't we?
Well, yeah, I mean, I was gonna say, I mean, Book of Mormon's definitely, you know, you can listen to the soundtrack, but like it's South Park creators, like it's funny.
Yeah.
The dialogue is funny, and I know that for my personal experience, like there's a ton of people that I knew that I wouldn't say are theater people, but they loved Book of Mormon.
That was our show.
Yeah,
that
exactly.
was our show.
You know, that was their way of seeing theater. It was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go laugh.
That's gotta be cool though, that like you're kind of, I mean, there are punk rock shows, right? Like American Idiot. But like honestly, like the really punk rock thing, like the really like counterculture thing is like Book of Mormon, where it's like we're actually gonna like take all these tropes and really kind of fuck with them, really kind of mess with them. So by the way, we all have sworn now, so you're good to go, Eric.
All right, cool. Amazing. Well, Man, I never cursed like I did before I did Book of Mormon. Let me tell you. Every day.
Of course not.
I said, because I'm singing backstage, you know, fuck you, God in the ass, mouth, and cunt. Hey, and that's my job. Like at a certain point, cursing, it just takes away it just loses its edge, you know.
Yeah.
So I try to remember as best I can when I feel like it could be a thing.
Do you like worry about like the power of words in that scenario? Or cursing? Like, yeah.
Here's what I believe about cursing. I think you curse people with your intentions. Yeah. You know, I think I could say God bless you, and it would be more of a curse than saying fuck you. Depending on how I mean.
Can you do that? Can you do the action? Can you do the fuck you? But right? but also give me God bless you. But like inside, it's like I want you to die.
So it would be like, you know. Or how about this one? How about this one? You know, I'll be praying for you.
Oh no, that's so bad.
That's
or
gonna
like,
drive someone nuts.
oh,
That's
like-
why people have like a real issue with Christians, I think,
Or like,
sometimes
oh,
it's because
God
of
bless
that
you.
stuff.
God bless you.
Oof. Yeah.
Ooh.
That's how is that not a curse? You know.
For sure.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
like the finding something good about them thing. Like I think if someone ever did that to me, the rest of my life, I'd only be able to, and they were only kind to me from then on out. I think
Yeah.
the only thing I'd be able to think about ever was like, remember that one time when they said, God bless you, but they really didn't mean it. Like
Yeah.
I'd be livid. But
And
yeah,
I guess also if you mean fuck you in the way that you mean it, at least you know the moment. At least you're being
Sure.
clear about.
You're not lying.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I think I think that Book of Mormon uses cursing as a way to like rattle people out of their comfort zone, you know, because that's how they do such a good job of breaking down the audience and then making them laugh and then breaking them down, then making them laugh and going through this like whole like very thought-provoking experience to right at the end be like, hey, like at the end of the day, aren't we all just trying to make this place a better place?
Yeah. No matter what
Yeah,
what
'cause, like, at the
religion
end
or
of
new
the day, they
religion.
make-
Yeah, it's about, I mean, the intention of it hopefully is about, right? Like bettering a community, bettering society.
Mhm. Guys,
Yeah.
think about this, right? Think about this. Hold on.
Oh, we
like-
can't pass on Zoom, man.
Yeah, I know, that's too bad. But there are going to be predominant religions in our society that have not even been created yet.
That's
You
wild.
know?
Are you a
Like-
religious person?
No.
No.
But yes, but no. No.
Okay.
I find like the word religious is very practical oriented. Like I don't really go to church. I haven't gone to church for a really long time. And I don't necessarily adhere to like any type of practice at the moment. So to me, like when I hear religious, I kind of get associated with that. I do feel like I am a very like spiritual person.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm very connected to my spirituality, and I identify with those feelings and like
Yeah.
emotions and kind of like that body mind connection that can happen with spiritual experiences that like everyone can have.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I don't really know how to phrase it. Like I was raised Christian and evangelical and all that, but like I would be interested in practicing other religions just to see like what it was like, you know.
Sure, or at least like giving it a second of your time to like study or yeah. I understand that. I almost feel like, and this might be just from me knowing myself and not knowing, being able to put myself completely in other people's minds, but I almost think that being like a successful artist, you have to have like at least the level of spirituality that comes like close to like a true like godly religion, right? Like not to say that you have to, but like it's almost the same feeling, you know, of like of that sort of spirituality of like there's something there, there's something working through me, is an artistic experience and a religious experience. I think that I almost feel like they made each other. You know what I mean? That they come from each other, right? Do you have that that feeling like before you walk on a stage, or like when you're like creating like a new character or creating like a new like a new emotion behind a song, like a new action there?
Oh yeah, it's like where does it come from? You know, it comes
Yeah.
from like something like that's beyond, you know.
Yeah.
It comes from I mean, and it does.
Is it like grace? Is that I feel like that's the word I've been like that I it almost feels attributed to like that's like a religious word, you know?
Grace. Wow. Yeah. don't you think like acting is like one of the greatest forms of like one of the greatest expressions of empathy that any person can take on, because you're taking on someone else's experience and trying to live that experience truthfully through yourself.
Yeah.
And like how can you do that without grace?
Yeah.
Because if you don't, you're going to judge your character, and then you can't come from the the zero that your character exists in if you're judging them.
Yeah. And I mean, not only that, but like, right, like the actor is using empathy for the character, and it's not within the actor's like work to think about the audience, but they are truly putting empathy with the audience of being like, I'll do this.
Yeah.
You go over there, I'll do this. I'll go through this, and you can be here with me. I'll take it on. Yeah.
It's vulnerable. It's like, it's such a vulnerable thing to do, because you're being judged for it by the people that you're hoping get something out of it.
And you hope the people like almost leave. The frustrating thing is that when you are being judged for it, you're doing something that, and you're being something that really the end goal of so much of theater is for like humans, for characters not to be judged. You know,
be heard and understood.
Yeah.
To
have that, to have the empathy go both ways, right?
Yeah.
Oof.
I agree. I think it's a challenging task. And that I just wish that the theater industry were more geared towards serving that purpose instead of just like revenue.
Yeah.
Alas.
Mitch comes in with the perfect way to segue into Shakespeare, but no. Well, there's a lot of revenue there because you don't have to pay the playwright, right? So
there you go.
Is Shakespeare done because it's, I know I personally think it's beautiful and very good, but do you have the feeling that like it's almost because they don't have to pay like a new playwright that they're like, well, let's do
make
Merry
it a
Wives
festival and let's just do a bunch of it.
Right. Well, like, because I'm gonna say this and people might like get really mad at me for this, is that I have some deep love for like a lot of Shakespeare, but I also think that anyone who's doing like Merry Wives of Windsor or Gentlemen from Verona, I'm just like, it's not good. He wasn't like he wasn't like 100% good. Like he kind of sucked sometimes, and then other times he was amazing. Yeah, like it's okay to like hold. I feel like there's no way to criticize him sometimes, and
that's so true, because Andrew Lloyd Webber is one of the biggest playwrights, musical theater playwrights of all time, and then he wrote Cats. Sorry, yes, people don't like Cats here. People like Cats here.
No, I mean, a lot of people love Cats.
I know,
and will
but
always
I don't
love
understand
Cats.
it. I've never understood it.
I don't know. It was at a time where you were doing kind of like concept albums, and it does hold like an interesting space as far as what the art form was at the time.
Yeah.
And so because of that, it will always come back around.
It kind of reminds me. No, go ahead, please.
I saw the revival of Cats on Broadway.
Oh, how was that?
I thought it was fantastic. I thought it was really, really good.
A friend of mine, actually a person we've actually interviewed on this podcast, he is we've had big arguments about Cats, and it came through Chicago on like a national tour, and he was like, it was amazing. He's like, you don't even understand how good it was. And I'm like,
I feel like Cats reminds me a lot of like those like old improv shows before they really got into the jokes of like and they were really doing the reflection. Like the warm-ups for a lot of acting right now is actually just the improv show as a whole of like, whoa, ooh, and like they're like feeling each other's bodies and reflecting. Like that's what Cats feels like to me. It's just like we're doing stuff and it's kind of cool, and we're like really like in our bodies, and I'm feeling your body over there with my energy. Like that's what it feels like to
and
me.
like I get the technical aspects of it, like how that's pretty wondrous. You know, the actual performers in the show are insanely, incredibly talented people.
Yeah, the dancing in that show has to be fantastic.
I just, you know, at some point I'm just like, what is happening right now? I don't like, I do not understand what's going on.
Don't you think it should be important to have at least some kind of thing you can follow that resembles a story?
No, sure. No, not at all. No. I've never heard of Story, and I don't like it.
I thought Cats, at least on the Broadway revival, I left feeling like, you know, I feel like I got to know those cats. I feel like I really got to know those cats.
Pull Peter out of me. You know what? I think we're a little closer now.
But yeah, like there is also something for spectacle, and you know there are shows you can do that with singing too. You just get I feel like that's what like song cycle shows are. You know, like all we're gonna give you is just like a hook and a high note and a riff, and like it's all just kind of showy, and it doesn't, you know.
And there's a place for that, right? There's
of course,
right, but like if it's the only thing presented, then like you put yourself in this 100%. Sort of box. You put your own self in the box.
But like, how does the industry combine?
What's in the box? You
and musical theater, you know.
Yeah,
I get that. I get that with the whole song. You're right. Like that was a perfect segue there, Eric. I mean, you're right. It's song cycles are the exact same thing in that sense. You know, I'm actually doing Songs for a New World right now, and I'm like trying to get people to be like excited. It's just going to be a stream show, and I'm like getting people excited, and they're like, "What is it?" And I'm like, "Oh, yeah,
what's it about?"
I have no idea. Or they're like, "What's it about?" And I'm like, well, each song's a completely different character. You know? And so that's a good point. That's a very good
that's
point.
A tough one. I mean, but so what do you want out of your, so when we get back to being able to do shows, what do you want out of your future? What do you want like for yourself? What are your goals?
Artistically?
Yeah.
I have never been in a play in my life. And I would love to do that. And like, what better place to start than on Broadway, right?
Oh, okay. So you want your first play?
That's realistic, right?
I'm liking the lofty goals. I like.
I might as well. I'm here.
I think that you are. Your mentality is exactly where like a lot of people should be, right? Like, don't audition for anything unless it's Broadway.
Well, that's certainly there's a lot of, I think, factors that go into making those kinds of decisions, which people do because and I understand why. I mean, not to be honest, like if things start popping up and I see they're doing like 3 different Shakespeare's shows over a summer, and like I have the potential to go like do Shakespeare for a few months, like that would be amazing because I've never done a play before, you know. And so you know, when it comes to me doing things in spaces I've never worked in before, I always got to start. You got to start from where you are, and you know, realistically, like having done no plays, yes, doing something like that would like definitely be a level up for me. Not that I don't have experience on stage; it's just that particular.
Well, just as a play, though, like I think that. I'm not going to give you that compliment, actually, because I don't want to put too much on your plate. But I was just going to say Broadway is not like out of your future by any means. You know what I mean? But like as a play, maybe like, and not even that you probably do have the skills, but like just that the fact that you haven't even tried to see this, you know what I mean? Like that you haven't like experienced that you know that you have the skills yet, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that would be very cool. I mean, obviously, like working on film would be great. I've done a few classes here and there for film, so that would be cool. I already know how to audition for a musical, so I feel like, you know, that is always going to kind of be an outlet, and it's going to be there. But I would like to try doing some of these newer things. So yeah,
You want to your goal after this after COVID is to deliberately expand at this moment.
Yeah, I want to be in some plays. I want to be
Cool,
able to
man.
play on Broadway. I feel like that, you know, that would just be so freaking dope.
Why the fuck not?
I just would be thrilled to do that because I'm so used to storytelling in the musical theater world that like
Yeah.
I would love to see how it feels to, because like film acting is completely different than being on stage or being in a musical energy, like, and it's fun to do like something different, so
Yeah, and also I think that like the way that I've seen you work in years ago, but like the mentality of the character is there for you. You know how to do the character work. At the end of the day, it's really nothing more than, not singing. You don't rhyme as much usually. Like right? Like the because you come at the like there I will say there are some musical theater people, right, who like don't come at the character from an entirely like realistic perspective, right? Because there's also Mitch, I guess that's you.
That's 100%.
Well, because like the song almost opens and closes like the emotion for you, right? Like so for in a lot of ways. And you can find yourself being like, I know where this joke is, this joke is, this joke is. And since it's a song, you kind of hit it, right? Where like for acting, without music, it can be a little bit jarring to like be like, well, I can't hit any joke, you know? That'll never work when I like snap into it, like, and like the joke here is actually like the long play of the character development all the way over here, back here, right? So, but I think that, and I think that a lot of people that don't entirely do that work could probably switch pretty simply if they just realized that they were doing it,
Sure.
Anybody in the world can act. I am of the opinion, like, right? Like,
if
it does help.
Anyone can act. Like little kids can act.
It does help if you are like emotionally like healthy at an early age, right? And like, and your imagination is able to run at an early age and not being told no. I think that's maybe the biggest like thing holding people back from thinking that they can act, is just like, because it's all it is feeling emotions and getting in your imagination about specific things. And everyone has an imagination, right? Whether it works like a muscle or not, that you have to like snap it back into gear or not, sure. Everyone feels every single emotion in the world, whether you let yourself feel that and you want to snap back into that muscle of like really getting to those points that only sometimes you only really allow yourself to feel like on the stage or behind or in front of the camera. Like, that takes the work, right? But like, there's no like genetic difference, right? Like, I do think people can't always sing, like right? Like, no, I can't dance,
but you can even learn how to dance.
But I can't learn how to be graceful, I feel like.
That is a little different. Yeah.
That's an awesome goal though. Like, is there a play that is there like a style of play that you'd like want to specifically like work toward, like comedy or drama? Like, what do you see yourself doing for the future?
I mean, I feel that comedy is always going to be in my wheelhouse in a very accessible way. Because I enjoy being silly and I enjoy like being self-deprecating, and like that's like the best kind of humor. Like, self-deprecating humor is the funniest stuff. But I also love to do drama. I think I could do a dramatic character, a serious character. I can handle like heavy scene work. I definitely think that would be great too. So I mean,
did you come out of like did you go into this pandemic thinking this, or is this like a realization that you came to in the middle of like a more isolated time in your life?
I mean, definitely that. I actually, right. I had auditioned. I had signed up to go audition for a play on Broadway. That got canceled. Like it was like the day that everything got canceled was my audition for my first
That was
play
such
that I
a
was gonna try
weird
for.
day.
Oh yeah, it was weird. I screen recorded the Actors Equity website for auditions and just
Yeah.
scrolling through all of them. They were all canceled, everything.
That's so wild.
But
but so you auditioned right before, but like how did that want grow, like during this like time alone? Like how did like you wanting to like change something, and like why do you think that you wanted to like expand? Like what do you think the underlying emotion was behind feeling the need to expand?
I think maybe like potential for opportunity and for growth. I would love to be like my ultimate artistic goal would be to book like a series regular on a TV show, like a good TV show. That to me is like the apex of where the best art is right now is on TV shows. And especially like on the streaming sites, like the stuff comes out of there. So to be a part of something like that would be amazing. And I feel like when I think about how to get there, I think if I could get myself to doing a play on Broadway, that is a level of work as an actor that is, I feel like would help prepare me for like the world of television and film. And even though it's very, very different, I feel like if I could handle that, then it would be like a really, it seems like there'd be a palpable way of moving into like the next thing.
Well, it's kind of like the Book of Mormon tour and your ability and knowledge on wanting to be healthy and how to be healthy and preparing yourself for the day, right? That's going to help so much in other aspects. And right, like you're just growing yourself as a human being, which will grow yourself as an artist, right? To prepare for your end goal.
You just said like everything that I've been saying in the last year, which is like, because right now I'm just working, you know, like I've done like 3 different jobs trying to like hustle and make it in New York. And, you know, they're not in industries that I'm passionate about or necessarily want to pursue like a long, long future in. But any success that I can find in doing any type of work is going to benefit me as an artist, because at the end of the day, I am the product.
Yeah. And the product, like you don't, someone who doesn't have a work ethic, you know, or someone that doesn't have the specific skills to do something, right? Like even if it has success once, the second time, there's no guarantee that it'll be successful at all, right? Because there's no work ethic there that was like at least found, or no knowledge gained from other experiences that are at least, you know, created.
You could get cast because you have the right look and the right talent at the right time.
And then that will be
one-hit wonders.
The one. Yeah, man. Well, you're definitely not one of those. You're definitely not one of those.
Thanks, man.
Eric, thank you so much for talking to us.
Yeah, thank you
so
much.
This was an absolute pleasure
coming on
You're
here.
welcome.
And I know I can speak for me personally. I mean, it's really inspiring hearing somebody who, you know, doesn't want to stay in place, you know, especially in this crazy time that we're living in. I mean, I know the byproduct of this podcast being started is neither of us wanted to stay in place anymore. We needed to do something to get our creative juices flowing and out. So thank you so much for coming on, man.
You're welcome. I would love to come back anytime and do this again.
I was just about to say, please come back.
Man.
On your life and where things.
We'll bring you in for season 2.
Yeah.
We're not doing season 2 until post quarantine. Okay. So we're doing season 2 in 30 years.
When we can actually all be in person together again.
That'd be great. Yeah, Mitch is gonna have to move to New York, so
I would.
You guys, Harlem is where it's at, man. Like, to me, this is the most beautiful part of the whole city.
I'm telling you, I'm actually like that is like on my Street Easy app for when I'm like in the next 2 months looking to come back. That's like number 1. It's that or like Bushwick or Williamsburg, because it's close enough in Brooklyn, right? And like those specific areas, it's like 3 stops until Manhattan, right? But
Yeah.
Harlem is for sure.
Well, and it's like
one of my
John said,
favorite spots.
I've been to New York twice, and both times to visit John. And the first time he took me to Harlem, I was obsessed with it. And then, you know, when I came back, I was like, "Are we going to Harlem at any point in this trip?"
Yeah,
So
you got
Harlem's
to,
awesome.
man.
I tried to give this guy like some nice cigars and some whiskey at this like Soho Cigar Bar. Shout out, great bar as well. We love
Yes.
you. Hope you guys are okay in this horrible time. But we did it. We had cigars. It was nice. And he's like, "So where's Harlem from here?" I'm like, "So like we gotta go up. We gotta go up.
No,
it's late,
correct.
so we're taking a car, you know."
Yeah.
But yeah, all right, man. I hope everything's good with you. I hope you stay
too,
safe,
man.
stay healthy, and thank you so much.
Yeah,
All
you're
right.
very welcome. All right, peace out, guys.
Awesome. See
Peace
you later.
out.
Hey guys, thanks for listening.
Yeah,
You know
thanks
the
for
deal.
listening. Wasn't that fun?
That was fun.
Tell
Really
us-
great guy.
Yeah.
Really
Yeah.
enjoyable.
Email us.
Subscribe.
Send us a message on Instagram. Tell us how fun it was.
Talk
Only
to us.
positive notes, please. I am very, very fragile right now.
You know, yeah, he's getting out of here. It's gonna be a rough week for John.
Be nice to me.
If you have something mean to say, just say it to me.
Yeah. Do you want to give them your personal email?
Or I'll just tell John to stay off the email.
I can't. I'm an addict.
He's an addict.
But yeah.
All right, guys.
2-person
We'll
echo
talk-
chamber.
2-person echo chamber. We'll talk to you next week. Bye.
Bye.